here. Listen here. Listen here. I think it's about that time. Looking at my rollie, it's about that time. At 6:30. At 6:30. At 6:30. We're gonna make ourselves clear. Gonna make ourselves clear. Clean the wax out your ears. Listen here. Hear ye, come on, come all. Yeah.
No, I'm gonna unmute it for a second. I just
Okay.
I'll do it.
Yeah. Read it with the top. But we know this much. Wow.
Hold on. All right.
So we can do it loud.
That's right.
We gonna make ourselves clear. We make ourselves clear. Listen here. Check the mic in the building.
We are up.
Rolling on in, and you do know that. You feel alright?
I feel pretty good. I can't
We doing
complain.
big.
Oh
Yeah. We're gonna talk some real talk today, tonight, whatever you at, whatever part of the world you at. It'll be daytime somewhere. Right now it's 6:30.
That's right, y'all.
So
We're gonna wait till some more people get in the room. I see some people here. Thank
let them
goodness.
roll on in.
Let some more people get in the room.
Sounds
Come
good.
on, come on. This is like a town full of bring the family in the living room and have a family meeting.
Right. Long
Right.
overdue.
That's for sure.
That's how good we want to be. I hope y'all enjoyed the origin story for the last time.
Oh yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? Trying to tell y'all a little something about how we did this thing. We on it. So you know what I'm saying? No thing right now. You know what I'm saying? Just cool. Been a long day in the office, in the community. Like you see it.
I see Eve Necker's in the room. Eve Levette. That's right, my aunt, my mom. Uh-oh. I see some more people in the All right. I keep coming.
We ain't scared.
All right. We want to shout out Tony Rock for that intro, our intro and our outro. Black Spade, for those who know him.
Right.
Shout him out.
Big shout out.
All right.
What's up, y'all?
What's up?
We back.
We're back. Welcome to a second installment of Did We Make Ourselves Clear? I'm your co-host, River, also known as River Key on all my social media platforms, and
KP in the building. Like I said, we is back, but we are not back alone, man. You know what it is. I'm gonna let this fine young lady introduce herself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Summer Richardson. I'm really excited to be here today. I want to send a shout out, a special shout out to KP and River for inviting me.
all right.
We've talked so many times about big dreams and everything that God has given you to pursue, and I just am excited right now to be a part of something. This isn't something that's just going to be here in Missouri, but this is something that's going to be global, that are going to change lives. So I just say shout out to you both. Keep pursuing, keep pushing forward, stay focused, pivot when need be. You know, don't let the naysayers or the haters stop you from moving. for moving forward. Just make sure, you stay focused and you keep moving. So I just wanted to say that little tidbit. So thank you all. It is truly an honor to be here with you all. I'm really excited. So of those that don't know me, my name is Summer Richardson, and I'm one of the assistant deputy directors at the St. Louis City Election Board. I've been at the election board for about 14 years now, so I guess you could say I'm maybe a little bit of an expert. I've probably worked in every area. You've probably seen me everywhere, from a judge recruiter, training of poll workers that service you at the polling places, as well as supervisor over registration, and now in charge as far as the leadership team. So I'm really, really excited. I'm also a trainer. I'm an encourager. I'm a person that loves, information and knowledge. I'm really involved in the community. I'm focused, I'm motivated, I'm a motivator, I'm an accountability partner. I even have my own side business. Shout out Kick Push Pull. So you guys can follow me on social media platforms. It's really just about helping people to really understand who they are, who their God-given missions and gifts are, and really help to inspire them, as well as keeping them healthy at the same time, mentally, physically, spiritually, all of those things. So
that's awesome. I feel like you don't know who you is, you don't know where you're going anyway.
That's true. That is true.
That's fair enough.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's up, River? Let's lay the law of land out and let them know what they're about to get.
That's right. Well, she's here to give us some very important information about the election, why your vote is so important and how it can count. And there's so many pieces to this, and that's why we invited her on here, being that she's an expert. So I have a few questions. We want you guys to also weigh in, ask some questions. I see that we have some viewers. Definitely ask your questions, because in case we don't ask the question that you want, we want to go ahead and make sure. But in the meantime, we're going to kick up the questions that we have, and we'll come back, we'll follow up towards the end with your questions. So our very first question, Summer, is for those who are not registered, is it too late? What's the best way to register?
So for those that are actually residents here in the state of Missouri, the close of registration, in order for you to be able to cast your ballot in the upcoming November 3rd election, was October the 7th. So it has passed, but that does not stop people from always registering. You can always register. And so there are three main ways that you can register even right now. One, you can log on to the St. Louis City Election Board, print out a registration card and mail it in. You can also come down to our office, and this is also St. Louis County, St. Charles County, St. Louis City. Go into the office and actually get registered face to face. You can also go to any of your social services locations. So the DMVs that have all kind of slowly started back opening up, you can actually register there as well. And then if you don't feel comfortable leaving your home, you can go to the Secretary of State's website, and that's sos.mo.gov. Okay? So those, sos.mo.gov.
That's right.
So make sure.
All right.
You know what I'm saying.
So for those listeners that are from other cities and states, I would just suggest that you please reach out to your local election authorities, okay? Reach out to your local election authorities. Also reach out to your Secretaries of State office as well. You can look them up online. They all have social media. You can follow them on social media. You can call them, all those things to find out when their deadlines are.
I got a question. Is there a sample ballot available like before the election, and if so, how would someone go about it?
Yes, absolutely. There is a sample ballot. So right now, if you live here in the state of Missouri, you can actually go onto the city's website. You can go on St. Louis County's website, St. Charles County's website, and actually go under elections and print out your sample ballot. And let me say this really quickly. Hear me clearly. The ballot is extremely long, ladies and gentlemen. Extremely long. So the best thing you can do to make sure that you're prepared is to print out a sample ballot. There are so many things on the ballot, not just president and vice president, but there are so many very key things on the ballot that you need to make sure that you're ready for. So please print out that sample ballot, have it available, so therefore you can use that to be able to vote on election day.
That'll help you get in and get out faster.
Exactly. Yes, yes, and I would suggest even those that don't live in Missouri and you live in other states and cities, please do the same thing. Go on your local election jurisdiction's website, Secretary of State's website. There are also a couple of other websites. The League of Women Voters, you can always use their website, and they do a really good job, and that's nationwide a lot of times, where you can actually go on that website and print out your sample ballot. Sample ballot is the key.
Yeah, no, that's a thoroughly answered question. Big shout out to Claire Hayes at the Urban League Metro St. Louis, because she's running a program called Souls to the Polls.
Oh,
and they're kind of helping people understand those ballots and helping them get notarized and all those things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To make sure people are understanding the process.
Speaking of requesting your ballot, let's
Yes.
talk about what's the difference between requesting an absentee ballot and a mail-in ballot. That's so confusing for a lot of people.
Oh,
Which one do you need to know?
Yeah. The hot topic that's going on nationwide, that everybody's arguing about back and forth, the arguments are happening. So let's break it down. So there's absentee, there's mail-in, and then there's early voting. Okay, so let's talk about all three.
Yes.
Now, let's explain what's going on here in the state of Missouri. So for Missouri, we do not have what's called early voting.
Right.
And early voting is exactly that, meaning you don't have to have an excuse as to why you're voting, and that your particular city, county, state, your particular election jurisdiction will allow certain days and certain weeks for you to be able to go in and cast your ballot without providing an excuse. Now, in the state of Missouri, that does not exist, but it does happen in other states across the nation. So again, in order to find out if your state in fact has early voting, again, please log on, call your local election jurisdictions, and call or look on your Secretary of State's websites to find out if your state has early voting. Early voting is that the fact that you can allow legally to cast your ballot prior to election day without providing an excuse.
But once somebody receives that absentee ballot, I mean, would you kind of walk us through the process of how to submit it?
Yeah,
That
so
does get confusing.
So let me break down absentee, because that was early voting. Now, what does exist here in the state of Missouri is absentee, and now due to the coronavirus is mail-in, okay? And the mail-in and the absentee is such a hot topic right now because there are a number of different states and cities that did not have mail-in ballots already situated, already in process. Something that we have to always remember and understand is we're listening to the news, we're getting our information from social media, and we're listening to all the news stations, and that's good. You want to stay informed. But every single state has its own election laws. Your governor, I tell people, your state is almost this little mini kingdom. Your governor, your lieutenant governor, those are the people that really have the real authority about what takes place in your particular state. Oh yeah, absolutely. So you have to make sure that you know what your state election laws are. Now, back to Missouri. So for Missouri, absentee is set up where there has to be an excuse. You are saying that you will not be able to cast your ballot at the polling place on election day. So therefore, there are actually 7 reasons why you can vote absentee, okay? Now you can, again, take a look at our website, St. Louis City Election Board, St. Louis County, St. Charles County, all the various jurisdictions. You can even go to the Secretary of State and get all this information. But absentee, let's talk about that real quick because I want to take my time to break this down, okay? So absentee, 7 reasons why you can vote absentee. Reason 1, absent from the city, meaning you will not be present on election day to be able to cast your ballot. So therefore, you would qualify for absent for the city. 2nd reason, you're incapacitated or confined to your home, or you're a caregiver of someone that is incapacitated or confined to their home, physical disability, all of those things, and you cannot get to the polling place. You qualify to vote absentee. 3rd, religious beliefs or practices. You qualify to vote absentee. Employment with the election authority, which means you pretty much work for the Board of Elections or you're a poll worker. Right. you qualify. The next one, incarceration. And we'll talk about felons and incarceration a little bit later. But those are the individuals that have not been convicted of any type of conviction or crime or anything. They are allowed, but they are actually housed in jail at the time. They are also allowed to vote absentee. Then there are the people that are part of what's called safe at home, and there's a confidentiality.
Just a second, I
Yeah.
want to put you on.
Okay.
On that point, it struck a chord when you were just involved individuals, because you said if they haven't been charged,
Right.
then they can vote.
They still can. So individuals, so for felons, you can vote as long as you have not been charged, and once you're if you're locked up, or if you're on probation and parole. Once your probation and parole is complete, your voting rights are reinstated. Your actual probation officer, and we've worked with them, especially the city, second judicial court, also St. Louis County, all the jurisdictions in Missouri. You work with them, and you make sure the probation officers have registration cards. We make sure that everybody that is coming off probation and parole and they're being released, they fill out their voter registration card. Their voting registration is reinstated. So once that happens, they can vote here in the state of Missouri. Now, that's not always the case in other cities and states, which is why sometimes you hear that information and you're like, what is Missouri doing? Felons can't vote. Once they're done and probation and parole is lifted, yes, they can.
Big shout out to Jamila Nasheed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and if anybody has questions, please contact us.
Right.
We will let you know. And again, you bring that paperwork, you let us know, we'll work that with you and make sure that you will be able to cast your ballot on election day.
Awesome.
Okay?
Thank you.
So the other reason is the confidentiality reason, which is you're part of safe at home, which is for those individuals that may be in domestic situations, and for their safety, we allow them to do absentee. And then the last one, which is one of the newer reasons, is you have contracted or at risk for contracted COVID-19. Okay, so meaning you fall underneath that category of all the people that are at risk. So those that have any kind of immune situations such as diabetes, like myself, I'm a type 1 diabetic. I'm actually considered at risk. Those that have any type of lung disease, dialysis, you name it, anything that has any autoimmune thing going on, you qualify to cast your ballot absentee. Okay, now, the last category is mail-in ballots. So for all the reasons I just listed 7 different reasons. And if you take a look and you say, I don't qualify for any of them, but I still don't feel safe or comfortable entering into a polling place on election day, then you would qualify for a mail-in ballot. You can request a mail-in ballot, okay? Now, let's also talk about deadlines, all that good stuff. What's notarized, what's not notarized. It's just a lot of information out there. Again, if you're coming from another city or state, you have to find out what your election laws are doing and saying. So make sure you contact your local election authorities and some of the secretaries of state. I'm gonna say that probably throughout the rest of this remaining podcast, okay? So here locally, state of Missouri, absentee. So the 7 reasons that I listed, there are only 2 reasons where your absentee ballot would not require a notary, okay? Out of the 7 that I listed, there's only 2 that do not require a notary. That is incapacitated, confined, or a caregiver of a loved one that is incapacitated or confined to their home. Second reason would be the at-risk folks, COVID, okay? Those are the only 2 reasons that when you request an absentee ballot, that you do not need a notary. Everything else on there, you need a notary. And then if you do a mail-in ballot, you need a notary. Notaries, just FYI, the Secretary of State, if you go into their website, sos.mo.gov, they have worked with all of the notaries across the state of Missouri. No matter where you live, there is a list of notaries on their website that you can find them there. Some of them are even providing curbside. Please go on their website. Make sure that you contact them. They are willing and ready and armed to be able to help you and notarize your ballots so that you can be able to drop off your ballots. Okay? Fantastic. So that's notaries. The other thing that I would say is that also absentee ballots, you can bring them to the election board. If you don't live too far, you don't mind, you can bring them to us. You do have to fill out paperwork, but you can bring them in. You can even bring them in for a relative, and we have a list of what considers as a relative. Yeah, bring your ID with you. You will be dropping off that absentee ballot for yourself or even for a loved one, as long as you fit within the second degree, which includes a spouse, a parent, a child, a grandparent, a grandchild, brother, sister, mother-in-law, father-in-law, daughter-in-law, son-in-law. All of these things are listed on our website, so you don't have to memorize what I just said. But again, you can drop off absentee ballots only, okay? Again, for yourself or for any of that relation that I just mentioned at the election board, and that's considered notarized. You'll just have to fill out additional paperwork, but you can drop them off and that's taken care of. Now, as far as mail-in ballots are concerned, because of the law, here locally, you're not allowed to drop them off. And we don't have any drop box. Those do have to go through the mail, okay? So, the last day to request an absentee ballot and a mail-in ballot is October the 21st.
October 21st.
Did you hear me? October the 21st. And let me say this, don't wait till October the 21st.
Right.
Oh,
Request
that's
them now.
mainly what our folks do.
Yeah, don't wait till the last minute. Everybody's been listening. We all understand what's going on with the mail, back and forth. Even your regular mail is taking a long time.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So think about that.
They don't know stimulus. I know people been
Exactly. So the biggest thing is, after you get off this podcast, and if you decide that you qualify for absentee or mail-in, do it immediately. Do not wait. And as soon as you get your absentee ballot or mail-in ballot, please fill it out. Don't wait. Don't wait. One more time. Don't wait. Fill it out.
They wait while the breeze down. So, procrastinate, you always gonna be late.
Right. So, and just one more thing though. So the deadline is October 21st. The last day to actually vote in person, absentee, is November the 2nd, the day before election day. You can come to our election board and actually vote in person, absentee, okay? You can take care of that.
Well, that's awesome because, that leads me to my next question. It kind of deals with voter fraud. Are there preventative measures that are in place by the BLE, and what are they doing, nowadays now that people are more tech savvy and learning new approaches, to this country and what they're doing, to this voting situation?
Yes, and this has been going on before the pandemic, okay, ladies and gentlemen, just know that. What we do is we actually, whether you're absentee, in person, whatever, mailing your ballot in, we actually compare the information, okay? We compare signatures, we check addresses, we make sure that everything that we have in our voter records match up, okay? Now, we do take into consideration that signatures may change a little bit over time with age, but we do know, okay, this has to match up. If you forget, and when you get your absentee ballots, please make sure you read all the material. Don't just skip through it. Make sure you read all the material. There is specific directions that tell you how to fill it out, what you need, what you don't need. If you're missing anything, by the time you mail it back, such as your signature or an address, we actually send out letters saying, we're missing this information. Please send it back. Come to our office and fill this information out. So therefore, we can cash your absentee ballot.
With a lot of people being so worried about you guys receiving the ballot, I have a question here from April. She says, would you recommend people sending their ballot certified mail, and if they don't trust first class mail, or unable to drop a person to make sure that they arrive on time? So what would you recommend? Do you recommend early, like certified mail, or first class mail, or what can I do?
You can do either. We've actually been in contact with the post office, our local post office, and we've actually been working with them. Like, we've got a whole setup where they know, okay, these ballots are the most imperative, all mail is important, but even these ballots are so important. So, in order to speed the process along, I would say if it gives you comfort, go for it. If it gives you peace of mind, go for it. But the postal services, they know, they're working with us. even to the point that the last day and time that we can receive a ballot in our office, absentee ballot, is 7:00 p.m. election night. We're actually going to the post office to pick up all of the ballots, all of them, Yeah, all of them. Okay, so just FYI, I'm telling you, we're trying our best at the election board. There's so much information out there. There's so much misinformation out there. It is the goal of election boards, and I want to say even throughout the nation, to make sure that people are able to cast their ballots, that we provide fair, efficient, and safe elections for everybody. We don't want any person that is a registered voter to not be able to cast their ballot however they choose. We do have to do it within the law, but we are doing our best. Some of the election authorities are working almost 24 hours and working night shifts to make sure that we are getting these ballots.
So that's commendable, and I think also as a platform that we have with making ourselves clear, we need to really address our community at large for being educated politically.
Yes.
You know, for understanding what the local deals are.
Yes.
Not just the national scene, but you know, like you said, with judges. Like, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I feel like, and I've been having this conversation for a while now with just people, you know, friends, family, coworkers, everybody. There's been a shift. And if you think about it, we've got about 5 generations right now that are able to cast their ballot. You got your traditionalists, you got your baby boomers, you got your Generation X, you got your millennials, and now your Zennials, believe it or not. And I think with everything that has happened, especially with the pandemic, and you pick any subject, everything's been affected, from your finances to your households to education to health. You know, all of that has been affected because of this pandemic. Everything starts with leadership. Everything. Think about it, folks. Everything starts with leadership. Leadership in your home, leadership at your job, leadership at your places of worship, leadership as it relates to government.
That's key.
And they are the ones at the end of the day that are making decisions about mask, no mask. 3 days, 10 days.
Oh, what are we doing the honor system?
Yeah.
You know, you can't play with people's lives like that. And true leadership, if you think about it in its totality, is you're not going to make a decision without considering how it's going to impact the people who follow you.
Right.
You know,
And
I
I feel like generation-wise, traditionalists and baby boomers have always kind of seen that.
Yeah.
They've been through so much.
Right.
They've experienced all those things and been through the storm. Where now, Generation X, millennials and Zennials are like, oh my God, OMG, what has just happened? Oh my God, this has such impact. I can't believe this. Now my kids, I don't even know what to do. But guess what? Who's on your school boards? Who's on your local school boards? Who are your police chiefs? Who are your judges? Who are your attorneys and deputies and
casinos contributing to your school?
Hey, and guess who gets to decide who's on your school boards? Voters. Guess what percentage of voters turn out? 7 to 10, typically. So you come from a presidential election where you make it 80 to 90%, and then you go down to your local election and it's 10.
Single digits. And then we play it the same way when it comes to things like the census.
Yes. Oh my God. Census has such a huge impact. And I know everybody's afraid of the census, but that is how you determine how many House of Representatives, resources, everybody that you have, how many people that you have that can represent you in Congress to decide what's best for your state, for your communities. So your council. Yeah, I tell people, I'm like your councilmen and women and committee people and aldermen and whatever the particular title that your city or state calls them, county clerks, all of those, they have immediate effect on what happens tomorrow in your neighborhood. And let's take it a little further. All of those propositions that's on your ballot, and people don't know and understand, and you wonder why tax dollars and your money, your pocket, the tax bill. Yeah, when your money starts being affected, then you start listening a little bit more. So I think now we understand that that is another way to make our voices be heard, you know, and make great change, not just for our immediate family, but our spheres of influence in our communities. Yeah, for the first time, I think that's what's going on. So
Generational curses are being lifted.
Yeah.
I think today's time is really valuable for everyone. And as we were talking about the COVID-19 and the pandemic, it has impacted so many people negatively.
Yes.
You know, and it's also impacted a lot of people in a positive way.
Absolutely.
You know, it's brought out that entrepreneurial spirit.
Yes.
A lot of people that really wasn't paying attention to politics are now paying attention.
Yes, they are.
Now it's key, you know, in light of everything that's been happening with law enforcement and with just inequalities and inequities everywhere. We need to pay attention to what's going on.
Absolutely.
So that's one of the reasons we wanted to really bring you on the show. You know what I mean? So we can gain that clarity for our listeners, our viewership, and hopefully they share this and put it out because it's classic teaching. It's classic.
So rewind this, play this again if you missed some important points. Definitely, please do. You can reach out to us on Did We Make Ourselves Clear? We have our own platform on IG, on Twitter, on Facebook, as well as on YT.
Everywhere.
So please, there's no reason for you not to get this information. We want to clarify all information that we can be reached that way.
Yeah.
So I want to say to you, Summer, we enjoyed having you so much.
Thank you so much.
I would like to know if there's anything else you want to close on. Is there anything else that you think we need to know that we didn't touch base on? I'm just looking to see if
She's
more
so
questions.
thorough, really.
She was.
You don't have to
Clear.
follow the script.
Oh.
It's really like true raw and uncut, like we really wanted this show to come off. And what I would like you to talk about, really before you get out, is what are the job opportunities at the
Right, yeah.
Absolutely.
We spoke before in passing, but I want to be able to put that announcement out and use this platform.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yes, we need poll workers still. Please sign up. We still need poll workers, and this is
How do
nationwide.
they sign up?
Nationwide. You can sign up. You can go to the your local election authorities' websites and sign up. Also, here in Missouri, yes, stelections.com. And you can even sign up with St. Louis County, St. Charles County, all of those jurisdictions. If you live in other cities, make sure you sign up. Also, we are recruiting for high school students, okay? High school students, so they get a chance and an opportunity. These are our new voters. These are going to be our leaders. These are going to be the folks taking care of us at some point.
Right.
Let's make sure they get in now when they're young so they can have an opportunity to be a part of this just monumental time.
And we woke.
We woke. Yeah.
To get no sleep. You know what I'm saying?
I do have another question I forgot to ask, and that question was, because there's so many people coming to vote, is there some sites that they can go to?
Right.
Yes, we do have satellite absentee locations. We just started them today. So there's Booter Library, we got the library. So there's Booter Library, Julia Davis, Central, and then Schafly.
So they're going to do an absentee vote.
Yes, you can vote absentee. You can check out our website for it's Monday through Saturday. So Mondays, Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays are 11 to 5. Wednesdays and Thursdays are 1 to 7. So we're even trying to make it where people that actually may have to go to a job can actually come and vote. So please come vote. They're safe. Let me say this too. If you feel comfortable still coming to the polling places, you can. Polling places are set up just like your local grocery stores. We've got all the PPE from hand sanitizer to gloves to masks to disinfectant spray. Everything's being wiped down.
See them stop. That stop.
Oh Lord.
Right.
We got the sneeze guards up protecting you and the voters and the poll workers from each other. So please feel safe. You can still come to these polling places and we still will service you. Okay?
Man, it's urgent. It's really urgent.
Yeah.
We want everybody out there to recognize that it's never the right time to do the right thing. The right time is always right now.
Yeah.
So get on it, people. We gotta make some changes.
Yeah. And if you need any information, you guys can find me and follow me in all social media ways. Summer Richardson, Kick, Push, Pull. You know, I'm always putting more information about deadlines, reposting information. So, you know, feel free to ask me questions. I will answer them and get the answers if I don't have them.
Wonderful. See, my sister's thorough.
She is very thorough.
So,
I don't think
I'm passionate about this.
You know what I'm saying? That's what you're going to get out of us, though. You know what I'm saying? The guests that we bringing on here is bringing a moment of clarity. You know, for anybody, we're here to dispel myths, and we're here to talk about some real serious topics that affect our community, because we're in the community.
Yes.
So, you know, if we're not paying attention to what's going on, then we're not being relevant anyway. So we don't want to waste your time. We definitely ain't going to waste our time. So that's what the show's about, right?
That's exactly what it's about. So I want to thank you again for coming out to the show. This concludes our show. For those who did not, please reach share this. Did not get a chance to see this? Please reshare this. We got some wonderful people coming up next week. Next week, we got, there we go.
You know what I'm saying? We're going to bring them up, so y'all stay tuned.
October 16th, you guys.
October 16th, you know what I'm saying? Like I always say, I know the Lord has brought us this far just to drop us off here. Did we make ourselves?
Yeah.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you all. All right, take care. Love you all.